Chapter 34-45. There was no connection between the profound phoenix ring and the profound dragon ring. In the complicated terrain of the Palace of Gloom, it was indeed extremely difficult for Dmo Xian to locate Yi Qing Luo's whereabouts. Yi Qing Luo clenched her fingers tightly and didn't interrupt Win's words. Feng continued, although Di Zun can't pinpoint your exact location, he can sense your pain. Just as the Overlord was about to tear down the Palace of Darkness, someone showed up and said that he knew where you were being held, and that he could bring the Overlord there to save you. Alone? Who was it? This subordinate can only confirm that it was a man. He's wearing a black cloak, so I can't see his face. Feng replied, that man is very familiar with the Palace of Darkness and has a very high position in the Palace of Darkness. Listening to such a description, an image emerged in Yi Qing Luo's mind. It was the Palace Lord of the Dark Palace that he saw in the illusionary land. The strange palace master of the Dark Palace who seemed to have known her for a long time. If it was really that person, Yi Qing Luo was really a little dazed. It could be deduced from the words of the person behind the Palace of Darkness. On the surface, the palace master of Gloomy Palace was the disciple of the person behind the scenes. That person, why did it seem like he didn't want her to die? Whether it was in the land of illusion or fighting with the Ghost King, or at the Palace of Darkness, to lead the way for Dmo Xian to save her. It was as if they didn't want to see her die. The man is willing to lead the way, but he also made a request, Feng said. Request? Yi Qing Luo was stunned and suddenly, she seemed to have understood something but she needed to verify it as she opened her mouth. What is the request? Feng said, restrain your dark force and don't dodge. Take his attack. Yi Qing Luo's pupils suddenly widened. His body trembled uncontrollably. Her voice was dry and hoarse. He wanted to speak, but his throat was dry and stinging. However, she still held on and said hoarsely, so? Xian's injuries were caused by that person's attack, yes. Feng kowtowed hard. The Overlord really values you. I hope you can treat him well, mistress. Yi Qing Luo shut her eyes tightly. He suppressed the sourness in his eyes. She took a deep breath and was about to ask Feng to get up. Suddenly, there was a sound outside the door. Soon after, the entire room was filled with the fragrance of sandalwood. Feng, you talk too much. His voice was cold, with a hint of coldness. It was as if a chill had penetrated through the skin, wrapping around them. Feng knelt on the ground and his body stiffened. After hearing that familiar voice, Yi Qing Luo's slightly moist eyelashes fluttered as she stretched out her hand towards the dim figure, Xian. Yi Qing Luo's voice instantly dispelled the coldness from the man's body. Dmo Xian strode over. She didn't care that she had just taken a bath and changed her clothes. He held the dripping wet girl in his arms. The man's body still emitted the scent of someone who had just taken a bath. And on her body, was picked up by the man. Not only was he dripping wet, but he was also giving off a fishy smell. Yi Qing Luo's cheeks turned red. You just took a bath, let go of me first. She wanted to push the man away. However, the man hugged her even tighter. Chapter 34-46. Yi Qing Luo's eyelashes fluttered. The jealousy that she had suppressed surged up again. I'm sorry. Yi Qing Luo bit her lips, feeling the warmth of the man. I made you worry. Dmo Xian held the girl in his arms and glanced at the other figure kneeling on the ground in the darkness. Go and receive your punishment. Yes. Wind cupped his fists and immediately stood up. He didn't even have the slightest intention of defending himself. Wait. Yi Qing Luo called out and stopped Wind's footsteps. Yi Qing Luo popped her head out from Dmo Xian's arms and looked up at the man. I asked Wind to say it, you can't blame him. Dmo Xian frowned slightly. Yi Qing Luo raised her wet fingers and pinched his face. Wind listens to me. That means he is smart and knows who is in charge of our family, who has the final say. Saying that, she pouted her lips proudly. raised her eyebrows and pretended to be aggressive as she pinched his face tightly. I am in charge. I have the final say. Do you have any objections? No. Dmo Xian's brows stretched out and his eyes were filled with a doting smile. Our family, in charge. These few words softened Dmo Xian's heart. If you have no objections, then listen to me. Yiqing Luo released his face and gently rubbed the place where she pinched him. Immediately, she looked at Wind. No need to receive the punishment. Prepare hot water for me. Yes. Wind was very sensible and did not ask Dmo Xian whether he should listen to Yiqing Luo or not. Because he knew better than anyone. As long as it was the matriarch's words, the overlord would absolutely listen to it. There was no need to ask for the overlord's opinion. Well, it was indeed the matriarch who was in charge and had the final say. Since they had the matriarch, the group of guardians all understood one truth. It was all right to offend the overlord. As long as they pleased the matriarch, they would be exempted from death. I have prepared the hot water, let me carry you over. Dmo Xian carried her out of the room. Wind, who was abandoned in the room. The overlord's possessiveness was too terrifying. Even the bath water was not willing to pass through others' hands. Could it be? The overlord intended to boil the bath water for the matriarch for the rest of her life? Dmo Xian carried her all the way to another room. Yiqing Luo could clearly hear the drip, drip, drip sound of water droplets falling onto the ground. She had a feeling of being messed up in the wind. She had only slept for 2 days and 2 nights before waking up. Why do I feel like I'm soaking in water? Yiqing Luo was carried to the chair beside the wooden barrel and sat down properly. The chair was even padded with cushions. The man began to scoop up water and adjust the temperature. In the dim light, Dmo Xian's figure was long and hazy. Yiqing Luo watched his every move. His heart was indescribably touched and warm. In the eyes of outsiders, this man was high and mighty, noble and elegant. But in front of her, he was willing to lower his head and do anything for her. Washing clothes for her. Wait on her as she bathed. Boil her bath water. Wait a minute, there were all kinds of things that others didn't even dare to think about. It was impossible to connect the two together. He was willing to do anything for her. Looking at the man, after testing the temperature of the water, he carried her up. Yiqing Luo's hands wrapped around his neck, her long and narrow eyes hooked into a demonic arc. Ah Xian, you've just finished bathing and I've dirted you again, what should I do? Dmo Xian carried her and placed her into the wooden barrel. One hand untied the sticky robe on her. Chapter 34-47. That voice made one feel like they were about to get pregnant. Yiqing Luo's entire body turned limp. Her body was placed into the warm water. The heat diffused in all directions, blurring her delicate body. Yiqing Luo closed her eyes as she gave a comfortable sigh. She had yet to enjoy this soothing feeling. Suddenly, the man's slender fingers caressed her collarbone. As if she was electrocuted, Yiqing Luo's delicate body suddenly trembled. She opened her eyes as both her hands subconsciously grabbed the man's wrist. The embroidered purple sleeve robe floated on the water surface. From time to time, along with the water ripples, it collided against the skin on her chest. His hand was held by her. This posture seemed like she was asking for sex from him. Yiqing Luo's cheeks instantly turned red. Under the dense mist, she looked even more bashful. Lil Luo, The man's gaze fell on her. That gaze seemed to be burning with flames. Burning Yiqing Luo, her body and mind were heating up. Are you intending to take responsibility now? Dmo Xian slightly leaned forward, bent his head beside her ear, as he asked softly. The scent of male hormones exploded her senses. The warm breath tickled her heartstrings. Yiqing Luo expressed that she could no longer withstand the temptation of the handsome man trap. Towards Dmo Xian's looks, she might not be able to resist it in this lifetime. She pursed her moist pink lips tightly, as her long and narrow eyes stared at him coquettishly. This man obviously knew what she was thinking in her heart. And he even forced her to say it out personally. Yiqing Luo puffed out a stream of air from her nose. Following that, the hand which held his wrist pulled hard. The man's body covered the young lady's face. Even though Dmo Xian controlled his strength, half of his upper body also fell into the water bucket. Water splashed everywhere, drenched Dmo Xian's robe. Yiqing Luo's slender fingers hooked onto the man's lapel. "Your clothes are wet, then take it off." Her fingers seemed to be half magical. With a slight movement, where it moved, the robe opened, revealing a large area of the man's chest muscles. Yiqing Luo suppressed the shyness in her heart, as her pink lips curled, hooked onto his neck with one hand and pulled again. Her lips imprinted on his lips. This kiss was out of control. Water splashed in all directions, but the temperature of the water did not drop as time passed. The room was filled with sweetness. When Yiqing Luo opened her eyes once again, it was the afternoon of the next day. As soon as she moved, her whole body felt sore and limp. This was the after effect of sleeping for 2 days and 2 nights and going through a great battle. She looked at herself. Her body felt refreshed, and she was wrapped in a clean and soft undergarment. At least it wasn't as sticky and wet as before. The moment she moved, a big, warm palm held her little hand and sat on the side of the bed. Then, a cup of warm water was sent to his lips. Yiqing Luo drank a few mouthfuls and heard the man's gentle voice ringing in her ear. "You're awake. Do you feel uncomfortable anywhere? Are you hungry?" Her tone was so gentle that it could almost squeeze water out of it. "I'm a little hungry." After drinking the water, Yiqing Luo's throat felt better. "I'll bring you a bowl of porridge, wait for me." Dmo Xian kissed her forehead and gently urged, looking at the man's back as he walked out of the room. Yiqing Luo expressed that after a great battle, men would always show a gentler attitude than usual by 100 times. Did he know that torturing a woman until she fainted was wrong? Since he knew, didn't he know how to be gentle at that time? What's the use of being gentle after? Chapter 34-48. Not long after Dmo Xian left, the commotion at the entrance made Yiqing Luo roll her eyes. "Why are you all huddled at the entrance for? Come in if you want to." The noise at the door continued for a while. After that, a small head popped in. Kitty Lee blinked her quick-witted beautiful eyes as she beamed at Yiqing Luo, who was in the inner room. "Sister." Then, another small head popped in. One after another. There were exactly 4 of them. Yiqing Luo glanced at the door. "Don't want to come in? Then I'll close." Hey, don't." Yan Xiaoyi was the first to jump into the room as she gave an ambiguous look at Yiqing Luo. "We were so worried about you. Can you bear to chase us away?" Yiqing Luo shot a glance at the ridicule on Yan Xiaoyi's face as her expression didn't change. "From your eyes, I can't see any worry. Can't you really tell that my eyes are filled with sincerity and worry?" Yan Xiaoyi moved closer to the bed, widening her eyes and smiling evilly as she blinked. Yiqing Luo's expression remained unchanged as she met her eyes. "I can't tell." Yan Xiaoyi. After a while, she moved her body away. "I find that your skin is getting thicker and thicker." Tong Ziqing patted Yan Xiaoyi's shoulder. Immediately, he walked to the bedside. His face was cold, but his eyes were filled with concern. "How is your body? Do you feel better?" "That's right, sister. How's your body?" "These few days, watching you soak in a ball of black water," Kitty's heart ached. Kitty Lee also pounced forward and acted like a spoiled child. "Black water?" Yiqing Luo recalled last night when she woke up. The feeling of being wet all over. It seemed like Dmo Xian had vaguely mentioned it. Because she had absorbed a large amount of evil energy in the Dark Nether Palace's backlash barrier. Ghost Doctor said that if Dmo Xian had come a little later, the person behind the scenes in the Nether Palace might really be able to control Yiqing Luo completely. The black water that seeped out from Yiqing Luo's body. It was the combined efforts of Ghost Doctor and Dmo Xian to force out the evil qi from Yiqing Luo's body. The power of the evil yin energy was too strong. Except for Dmo Xian. Even the Ghost Doctor couldn't get close to it. While expelling the evil yin qi. Before Yiqing Luo regained her consciousness, he could not easily touch her delicate body. So when Yiqing Luo woke up, that was why he felt wet all over, as if he had been soaked in water. Yiqing Luo rubbed Kitty Li's head and was just about to open her mouth to appease her. But they were interrupted by Yan Xiaoyi's teasing voice. Do you still need to ask? With His Excellency Di Zun taking care of me, how could I not be good? Saying that, he glanced meaningfully at the obvious red mark on Yiqing Luo's neck. There was a hint of mockery in his laughter. Look at her blushing face. She can even communicate with His Majesty, so her body must have recovered. Yiqing Luo, this fellow, why was his words getting more and more shameless? Yiqing Luo rolled her eyes at Yan Xiaoyi, ignoring her teasing words. He turned around and looked at Tong Ziqing, who was more serious. I'm fine now, but I've been unconscious for so long. Has the Palace of Gloomy Shadows called a truce, or have they left the Nirvana realm? Ever since Yiqing Luo woke up and discovered that she was still in the East Continent's royal palace. She then deduced that Nirvana realm hadn't lost this battle. Adding on to the fact that when she woke up, the surroundings were quiet and there weren't any war cries or war drums. Chapter 34-49. They should have left Nirvana realm. Tong Ziqing replied. Should? Yiqing Luo was puzzled. Kitty Li nestled in her arms as she raised her head. Sister, you definitely don't know how shocking the battlefield became after you and Overlord brother-in-law left. Dean Gui Yu and Sir Ghost Doctor rushed over. Master Gui Wu, frivolous man and god thief had joined hands. Hearing these few names, Yiqing Luo understood. The minute they made a move, those Earth Realm royal army that Earth Emperor brought, all died in their hands. Master Gui Wu even said that he would hand Earth Emperor over to the higher-ups to handle. Kitty Li's eyes were sparkling like stars. Hand over to the higher-ups to handle? Looked like Nether Palace's actions this time round had completely infuriated Ghost Wu and the rest. The royal army of the land has been destroyed, and the Earth Emperor has disappeared. There are only a few pharaohs from the dark factions left, as well as Yu Nu, Yu Han, and Yu Ji leading the troops. Their morale has greatly decreased. Tong Ziqing continued, just as their morale was greatly reduced, Sen Yu seemed to have received news that the Palace Lord of Nether Palace had already left Nirvana Realm, giving up the plan to invade Nirvana Realm. Sen Yu also followed closely and left. Yiqing Luo nodded. That Sen Yu should have found out that the mastermind of Nether Palace had left. So he followed closely and left. The mastermind of Nether Palace discovered Old Man Song's existence, and discovered that she had the Azure Dew bracelet on her. Later on Dmo Xian rushed over. That man immediately fled the scene. Sen Yu also left Nirvana Realm. This action had already made it clear. The revered sir that Ghost Hand Wu you mentioned, was undoubtedly the mastermind of Nether Palace. That man hurriedly fled. And gave up the plan to invade Nirvana Realm. Was he really afraid that Dmo Xian would discover his true face? Or because he found out that she had the Azure Dew bracelet, and was thinking of another way, to snatch the Azure Dew bracelet? No matter what the reason was for Nether Palace to give up the plan to invade Nirvana Realm, at least now, Nirvana Realm is already protected. Tong Ziqing's lips curled upwards towards Yiqing Luo as she revealed an extremely shallow smile. Secluded Darkness Palace's disciples as well as those pharaohs have already been settled by various powerhouses' representatives. Secluded Darkness Palace no longer exists in Nirvana Realm, at least. In the future, when our The World Mercenary Group becomes even stronger, such a thing like this will not happen again. That's right, at least the current Nirvana Realm has regained its peace. Yiqing Luo smiled as she stretched her waist. Now everyone in Nirvana Realm has already ascertained that Madame Qing Luo and Sir Overlord are the saviors of Nirvana Realm. They are all thinking of ways to express their gratitude to you. Pan's face was filled with a proud smile. Yiqing Luo was stunned. This battle, isn't it all because of you, Gui Wu and the rest? Halfway through, she was brought to the Palace of Darkness by the earthly sovereign and the person behind the scenes of the Palace of Darkness. How could he become the god of salvation? Could it be that the people of Nirvana realm were treating her as a legend? Did they really treat her as their spiritual pillar, the light of hope? If it wasn't for the fact that you and Sir Overlord directly attacked Secluded Darkness Palace's main camp, allowing Secluded Darkness Palace's Palace Lord to escape Nirvana realm, this battle wouldn't have ended so easily. Pan explained what everyone said to Yiqing Luo. Yiqing Luo. Chapter 3450. Just at this moment, a steady footstep came from the door. The few of them immediately stood straight and looked towards the door. When they saw the figure, they obediently called out, "Overlord." Dmo Xian carried a bowl of porridge and medicinal soup into the room. He walked past them and sat on the bed and began to feed Yiqing Luo porridge. The few of them looked at each other and swallowed all the words they wanted to say in front of such a scene. The atmosphere in the room was inexplicably strange. Yiqing Luo took the spoon that Dmo Xian passed to her mouth and looked at the four of them. "Go tell everyone that I am awake." The few of them didn't want to see such a dazzling scene and immediately turned around and left the room. Yan Xiaoyi was very considerate and closed the door. While feeding, Yiqing Luo repeated Tong Ziqing's words. "Ah Xian, do you think the Secluded Darkness Palace has really given up on the plan to invade Nirvana realm?" "Not necessarily." Dmo Xian shook his head. "As long as you are still in Nirvana realm, that person will not give up." Yiqing Luo pursed her lips. "That person already knows that the Azure Dew bracelet is in my hands, plus that person's ambition. He doesn't look like someone who will give up easily." Dmo Xian put down the bowl and wiped her mouth, then immediately picked up the medicinal soup and continued to feed her. "During this period, you must not leave my side, in case they make any underhanded moves." Yiqing Luo suddenly looked up. "I think they want to stop me from going to the upper realm." "That's natural." Dmo Xian rubbed her fine black hair that was cascading down. "In the Nirvana realm, they can do whatever they want to you, but once you're in the upper realm, their actions will be restricted. No matter how high the status of that person is in the upper realm, they can't do anything to you in the upper realm." "Why?" Yiqing Luo didn't understand. In the upper realm, there is a huge disparity in strength between cultivators, and their destructive power is also very strong. The security management of the upper realm is much stricter than that of Nirvana realm. Dmo Xian explained. "Above the earth realm is the heaven realm and above the heaven realm is the god realm." Although the sovereign of the divine emperors had passed away a long time ago, who knew where the descendants of the sovereign of the divine emperors were hiding? In addition, the upper realm and the heavenly Tao are mutually restricting each other. The historian of balance will not stand idly by. Yiqing Luo replied, listening to this. "Why does it feel like Nirvana realm is like an abandoned continent? There's no balance at all." Actually, the reason why the people of the upper realm did not intervene in the war in the Nirvana realm was not only because of the high status of that person in the upper realm. Dmo Xian pinched the young girl's cheek, which was filled with anger. "The main reason is still because of the prophecy of the upper realm." Prophecy? Yiqing Luo recalled the calamity which Dmo Xian had mentioned previously. She was startled. "Are you talking about the predestined calamity in the Nirvana realm?" "Yes." Dmo Xian nodded, and the hand that was pinching her cheeks changed to a large palm to hold her face. God Realm Celestial Master had once prophesied that Nirvana realm would face a calamity, and also an opportunity to change Nirvana realm's current situation. Celestial Master? Yiqing Luo frowned. Her eyes were filled with puzzlement. "But I still don't understand, the calamity mentioned in the Celestial Master's prophecy. Is it really a calamity, or is it because of you?" Dmo Xian lowered his eyes. The expression on his face was slightly dignified. Chapter 3451. Yes. Dmo Xian held her wrist. His slender fingers stroked the cherry blossom pattern on her wrist. because the Azure Dew Bracelet is in Nirvana Realm, the Divine Phoenix Profound Heart Jade is in Nirvana Realm. His large palms suddenly tightened and pulled the young lady into his arms. After the Divine Emperor passed away, many people in the upper realm yearned for the Divine Emperor's tomb. The Divine Phoenix Profound Heart Jade is the medium to find and open the Azure Dew artifact, and the Azure Dew artifact can find the Divine Emperor's tomb. Dmo Xian gently stroked her hair and sighed. Do you remember what I told you, the reason why I came to Nirvana Realm? Yiqing Luo leaned her head on his broad chest. Beside her ear was the man's deep heartbeat. It made her heart calm down. She moved her little head slightly and rested her chin on his chest. I remember, you said. You are looking for the Profound Flame Heaven Pivot Map. That was the map that her mother left for her. I know that the Profound Flame Heaven Pivot Map is in Nirvana Realm. Celestial Master must know too. Dmo Xian looked down and met her charming eyes. Yiqing Luo's eyelashes suddenly trembled. She understood the meaning of Dmo Xian's words. Those things on her body. They should not exist in Nirvana Realm, a place of the lower realm. And, those things, once they appeared, would attract the attention of cultivators from all over the world. But they were all in Nirvana Realm. What's more, there was the news that the Profound Flame Heaven Pivot Map was in Nirvana Realm. This news, if the people in the upper realm knew, how could it not incite the restless ambition in the cultivators' hearts? I don't believe anyone in the upper realm, not even Celestial Master, so I am very suspicious, whether that predestined disaster is real or a trap set by Celestial Master because of the Profound Flame Heaven Pivot Map or the Divine Phoenix Profound Heart Jade. Dmo Xian could tell from Yiqing Luo's expression that she had understood what he meant. He sighed again, raised his large palm and rubbed her hair. His slender fingers tangled with her hair. But, no matter if the Heavenly Master's prophecy is true or false, the Nirvana Realm has passed this tribulation. It won't be easy for the Palace of Gloomy Darkness to make a comeback. Yiqing Luo buried her head into his arms again. She wrapped her arms tightly around his waist. The girl buried her head in the man's arms and arched her head. Ah, Xian, I want to go to the upper realm as fast as I can. His voice was a little unclear. The calamity of the Nirvana realm had passed. But the calamity that belonged to her, Yiqing Luo, was just the beginning. The person behind the scenes of the Dark Palace. It was impossible for him to give up on his ambitions. Even if the Palace of Gloomy Darkness couldn't make a comeback. As long as the Divine Phoenix Profound Heart Jade was still in her body. As long as the Azure Dew Bracelet was in her hands. That person would definitely take the initiative to find her. The Nirvana realm was already riddled with holes. He could no longer withstand the devastation from the upper realm. Furthermore, she really didn't want to see her brothers get hurt again. She stayed in the Nirvana realm for a day. The Nirvana realm would be even more dangerous. Why not? Head to the upper realm and take the initiative to attack. Most importantly, in the hall of the Palace of Gloomy Darkness, she saw that mural, and knew the real name of Old Man Song and his former master. If the Emperor of the God Emperor was really her Yi family's ancestor, then her biological parents. It was highly possible that it was related to the Emperor of the God Emperor. Chapter 3452. All right. Dmo Xian's thin lips curled up as he bent down and kissed her hair. Let's go to the upper realm. It was not only to restore peace to the Nirvana realm. Not only to protect his brothers from getting hurt again. It was not only to make himself stronger. Only by finding out where he came from and finding his biological parents could he solve all the problems and accidents. Otherwise, as long as the Divine Phoenix Profound Heart Jade, the Azure Dew Bracelet, and the Mystic Flames Dubhe diagram were still with her, she would never be at peace. Even if she gave up everything. However, she was already in the tribulation. Giving up everything was equivalent to giving up one's life. The only thing she could do. It was to make use of all of this and bring out the greatest effect of these things. He had to strengthen himself and protect these things. He wanted to find his biological parents and figure out his identity. Yi Qing Luo and Dmo Xian walked hand in hand as they headed towards the World Mercenary Group's temporary residence. As soon as he stepped into the palace, Yi Qing Luo saw 10 brothers standing ramrod straight, waiting for her. Beside him stood the East Wave's sovereign and Gu Ming. Yi Qing Luo was slightly stunned. Who would have thought that Gu Ming, the sect leader of the Wind Valley sect, would come all the way to the East continent? Madam D. The East Wave's sovereign and Gu Ming immediately cupped their hands and greeted him respectfully. After they found out that Yi Qing Luo had regained consciousness, they hurriedly rushed over. He personally saw that Yi Qing Luo was fine. Only then did they truly feel relieved. He could see the genuine concern in their eyes. Yi Qing Luo's lips curled upwards slightly as she nodded towards the both of them. Many thanks to East Lan Monarch and Sect Master Gu for your concern. No. We should be thanking you instead. The East Wave's sovereign and Gu Ming looked at each other. If it wasn't for the help of Lady Monarch and Dizun, I'm afraid, the East Wave continent would have been lost. Yi Qing Luo waved her hand. This is the result of everyone uniting as one to resist the enemy, not the credit of Xian and I alone. They talked for a while more. East Wave Monarch and Gu Ming were only here to take a look at Yi Qing Luo's condition. He was also a sensible person. Looking at those young lads and young ladies by the side, staring at Yi Qing Luo with reddened eyes. He found an excuse to leave. Before she left, Yi Qing Luo suddenly thought of something and called out to the East Wave Monarch. Do you have any instructions for me, Madam Emperor? The East Wave's sovereign asked. Yi Qing Luo smiled at him. I don't have any major news. May I trouble Monarch to inform the various continents' representatives? As for the celebratory feast that the Monarch mentioned just now, Xian and I will not participate in it. We appreciate your kind intentions. The East Wave's sovereign's expression changed slightly. I won't take up too much of your time. Xian and I still have something important to do and we need to leave East Continent. But my brothers in the World Group will be attending the celebration banquet. Yi Qing Luo took a look at the crowd who were standing upright as a sliver of gentleness filled her eyes. The East Wave's sovereign's mouth twitched. Gu Ming tugged East Wave Monarch's arm as he smiled and cupped his fists towards Yi Qing Luo. Then we shall not force the both of you to stay. Yi Qing Luo nodded her head with a smile and her gaze fell onto the East Wave's Monarch. I hope that the thing that the East Wave's Monarch had promised me can be done as soon as possible. The East Wave's sovereign reacted and immediately said, I have already found the item that Emperor Madam wants in the Jade Dome sect. I will send it to Emperor Madam later. Yi Qing Luo thanked him. Many thanks to the East Wave's sovereign. The Azure Dragon Pearl over at the Jade Dome sect had been found. Chapter 3453. The passageway to the upper realm could also be opened. Yi Qing Luo took a deep breath and calmed her emotions. She watched as East Lan Monarch and Gu Ming left. Yi Qing Luo retracted her gaze and fixed it on the rows of young men and young ladies who were standing upright in front of her. In a trance. As though she had returned to Heavenly Academy's devil class. Yi Qing Luo's heart was filled with complicated feelings. There was a sour feeling as it rushed into her nose and into her eyes. This time, you've all done very well, very perfectly. Let me see that after you've grown up. You're even more perfect than what I imagined. She opened her mouth and her voice was sonorous and firm. In her mind, scenes of the past in devil class surfaced. In order to become stronger. For the group's honor. In order to protect the people around them. They fought for themselves. That kind of hard work in training. Now, they had already grown to become her biggest pride. Witnessing their hard work. Witnessing the fruits of their hard work. In Yi Qing Luo's heart, other than being touched, there was also that kind of hope that her son would become a dragon and her daughter would become a phoenix. Qing Luo. Everyone looked at Yi Qing Luo as their eyes turned red. Yan Xiaoyi was the first to take it as she strode out from the group. Earlier you said that you're not going to join the celebration banquet. Where are you going in such a hurry? Yi Qing Luo took a look at Dmo Xian. seeing Dmo Xian automatically walking towards the stone table by the side. He sat there quietly, being a quiet, handsome man. Yiqing Luo's brows were filled with a smile as she blew a kiss to Dmo Xian. Then she hooked her arm over Yan Shaoyi's shoulder and smiled lightly. You guys can attend on my behalf. You've just awakened, rest for a period of time first. Tong Ziqing's icy cold voice was heard from the group, but her tone was filled with worry and concern. Yiqing Luo hooked Yan Shaoyi as she walked towards the direction of the group. I know you're all worried about my body, I'm really fine. Her vision swept past everyone in front of her. The little figure who was hiding at the corner of the group slowly moved out. The girl raised her head, her gaze was empty and lifeless. That expressionless face was so cute that it made one's face bleed. She used her usual, stiff and emotionless tone. You want to go to the upper realm now? The moment her words left her mouth, the entire palace fell into a dead silence. The expressions on everyone's faces also changed. Yiqing Luo rubbed her forehead, raised her hand and poked the girl's forehead. I'm still thinking about how to open my mouth and you just said it out directly. Didn't you agree to keep it a secret for me? The girl shook her head. If you don't want to go, just say it. We can make you stay. Shadow, are you telling the truth? Qing Luo wants to go to the upper realm? Yan Shaoyi's eyes widened as she abruptly pushed away the arm on her shoulder. He hugged the girl. Mo Yuing blinked her lifeless eyes and nodded her head stiffly. It's true, Qing Luo wants to go. Her confident tone coupled with Yiqing Luo's helpless sigh earlier. Everyone's hearts instantly changed from being touched by Yiqing Luo's awakening to panic. Yiqing Luo wanted to go to the upper realm? Then, what should they do? Was Qing Luo going to abandon them? Looking at his brother's instantly depressed and distressed expressions, Yi Zichen felt a chill run down his spine. There were also many pairs of eyes that seemed to be staring at a heartless person. This made Yiqing Luo feel helpless and heartache. She raised her head and looked at the crowd. Her lips curled into a bright smile. Chapter 34-54. Hearing Yiqing Luo giving a definite answer, everyone's expression changed drastically. I'll go too. Long Yunzhan raised his head slightly as his azure blue gaze was clear and indifferent. Tong Ziqing, who was standing beside him, suddenly stiffened. She subconsciously looked towards the person beside her. Her heart felt as though it had been pierced by something fiercely, causing a dull pain. But Tong Ziqing clenched her fists tightly as she didn't stop or reply. The others saw that the class monitor had spoken. They followed along. I'll go too. Me too. Bring me along too. The world group will not be separated. Her ears were filled with passionate cheers from the brothers. Yiqing Luo's eyes started to fill with warmth. Her slightly reddened eyes blinked slightly. The smile on her lips added some gentleness. I know your hearts and I'm very happy. No matter where I go, I'll always have you group of brothers to accompany me. She paused for a moment as her smile widened as she looked at them word by word. But, I can't bring any of you along. The scene turned silent once again. The brothers looked at each other in dismay. The expressions on their faces were solemn and moved. Yan Shaoyi clenched her fists tightly as she pursed her lips. In that case, you intend to abandon us? Yiqing Luo sighed softly. Do I look like someone who would abandon others after using them? Why did she mention heading to the upper realm? The brothers' reaction was, she was going to abandon them? Mo Yuing, who had always been emotionless, thought so. Even Yan Shaoyi thought so. What was it about her that made them feel as though she was going to abandon them? The brothers were choked by Yiqing Luo's words. Was that how to use, abandon after using them? Yiqing Luo's gaze swept past everyone as the expression on her face turned solemn and serious. Her gaze was filled with an unquestionable imposing manner. I'll give you 3 months' time to raise your profound grades to Sky Profound Realm. By then, I'll come and fetch you to the upper realm. Yiqing Luo's lips curled as she smiled at the crowd. I've already thought of this idea the moment I decided to go to the upper realm. 3 months' time. She could put down her feet in the upper realm. At least until the brothers reached the upper realm. He would not be isolated and helpless, and would not be bullied by the people of the upper realm. Everyone looked at each other, then at the people around them. In his heart, a feeling of excitement surged. In fact, everyone knew very well in their hearts. For someone as powerful as Yiqing Luo, her ability was unfathomable. He would definitely not stay in the Nirvana realm. Especially after going through one battle after another that almost destroyed the world. People from the upper realm came to the lower realm in an endless stream. They already had a premonition. However, knowing in his heart was one thing. Whether or not he was willing to do so was another matter. Don't you have any confidence? Yiqing Luo looked at their lowered eyes and silent looks as she asked with a smile. No one answered. Yiqing Luo tilted her head. Your strength and innate talent may not be the strongest or the best, but your efforts and spirit are the strongest. You were able to go from being unknown and bullied by everyone to becoming today's great heroes. I believe that you will definitely be able to meet me in the upper realm 3 months later. Yiqing Luo's expression turned solemn. She slowly raised her arms. Her imposing manner dispersed, making everyone's vision unable to shift away from Yiqing Luo. I hope that 3 months later, all of our brothers in the world group will be in the upper realm, not one of them will be missing. I want to lead you to conquer the stars. Chapter 34:55. Everyone looked at Yiqing Luo. His eyes were filled with star-like brilliance that flickered incessantly. They looked at each other. Seeing each other's eyes, filled with determination. One word, as though it gathered all their energy, all their dreams, spat out from their mouths, yes. That sonorous and powerful, unwavering tone. It made the blood in Yiqing Luo's body start to boil. Her eyes sparkled as she gazed at the crowd. I believe in you, sister. Kitty Lee skipped over to Yiqing Luo's side, hugging her arm. Then when are we setting off? Kitty is homesick. Us? Yan Xiaoyi tugged Kitty Lee's ear, pulling her back to her side. You're also a member of the world group. We need to wait for 3 months, so you should wait with us obediently. Kitty Lee meowed a few times and struggled to push Yan Xiaoyi away with her little paws. You can only go after 3 months. Kitty is different from you. Kitty can go with big sister at any time. How is it different? Yan Xiaoyi let go of Kitty Lee as her arms crossed over her chest, staring at Kitty Lee. With a continue to fabricate, let's see what you can weave expression. Kitty Lee's pair of animated eyes blinked as she turned her head to look at Yan Xiaoyi in an adorable manner. Her tone was filled with pride. Kitty and sister have the same bloodline inheritance of the cat race. Kitty is sister's contracted beast. Yan Xiaoyi, everyone, she had hung out with Kitty Lee for too long. She had already forgotten about it. This little kitty was actually a half-human half-cat princess of the cat race. Alright, beast men who had a blood contract had the same bloodline inheritance. This was equivalent to those few war beasts in Yiqing Luo's pet space. All of them followed by her side. They indeed had no way to stop it. Everyone expressed their envy and jealousy. Hated themselves for not being beast men. Kitty Lee proudly raised her head and puffed out her chest as her arms hugged Yiqing Luo's waist, delightedly raising her tail as she swayed, showing her excitement. That look as though she had stolen a fish. Totally pulling hatred. Yan Xiaoyi glanced at a figure outside the courtyard as a teasing smile flashed past her eyes. She touched her chin and looked at Kitty Lee with a smile. Kitty. Are you sure you don't want to stay in the Nirvana realm and cultivate together with us? If he followed Qing Luo to the upper realm, what would happen to your young master Mo? Are you going to leave him alone in this empty room? Zhou Mo was mentioned. Kitty Lee's cheeks were dyed red. Her pink lips pursed, her little hand tugged Yiqing Luo's arm and snorted. What about that frivolous man? He has nothing to do with Kitty. Kitty only wants big sis. Really? Yan Xiaoyi's smile turned into an evil smile as she continued to dig. Aren't you and young Master Mo together? Are you really willing to abandon young Master Mo? Kitty Lee became more and more shy as she stuffed her head into Yi Qing Luo's arms. Kitty Lee will not be with that frivolous man. Kitty wants to go to the upper realm and leave him behind. The little fellow rubbed against him in all sorts of ways. Yi Qing Luo had yet to appease him. It felt like an icy chill was slicing her back. Yi Qing Luo's back stiffened as she glanced back. On seeing a white robe, smiling like a fox, an extremely evildoer figure. Her entire body stiffened. Then she lowered her eyes and stared at the little fellow who was still acting cute in her arms. She coughed dryly. Chapter 3456. What kind of situation was this? Yi Qing Luo's head stiffened as she looked over. She met with a pair of overflowing peach blossom eyes. But that pair of soul-stirring eyes. At this moment, it was suffused with an icy cold light. His chin was slightly raised, forming a perfect arc. He sat on the stone chair with a lazy expression, as though he was distracted. But Yi Qing Luo felt. From that pair of eyes, she felt a faint anger. Yi Qing Luo's throat tightened as she fell into a daze. An overlord's huge vinegar jar had been overturned again. She was hugging a girl in her arms. And it was an extremely adorable girl. Being hugged by a girl like that could make one jealous? Yi Qing Luo wanted to remind Kitty Lee, but her words were stuck in her throat. She looked on helplessly as the young man in white slowly walked up to her. Which was behind Kitty Lee. No one said a word. They had an expression of watching a good show. A cat's perception was extremely sensitive. From the surrounding atmosphere, Kitty Lee felt something. She raised her head from Yi Qing Luo's arms. The two small ears on the top of her head moved. Just as she was about to open her mouth, she suddenly heard a devilish laughter from behind. Little wild cat, you say? Who are you going to leave behind? Kitty Lee's small body suddenly stiffened. Her watery eyes widened. She didn't dare to turn back. She only used a shocked gaze to look at Yi Qing Luo. Yi Qing Luo shook her head as she spread out her hands and sighed helplessly, indicating that she was helpless. Little wild cat, yours truly feels that there's a need for yours truly to have a good discussion with you about our relationship. A large palm landed on Kitty Lee's shoulder. A swoosh sound was heard. Kitty Lee's body was as agile as a cat as she suddenly passed Yi Qing Luo and ran towards the direction of the palace. Yi Qing Luo's arms felt light. Zhou Mo's hand hung in midair. Yi Qing Luo coughed dryly. That young Master Mo. Zhou Mo tilted his head and curled his thin lips. That irresistibly seductive charm was filled with a naughty pressure. Don't worry, I will take good care of her. When his words fell, Zhou Mo's figure had already disappeared in front of Yi Qing Luo. Yi Qing Luo looked towards the direction where the two of them disappeared. He silently prayed for Kitty Lee. Well, she hoped that Kitty Lee would be able to come back safely when she and Xian went to the upper realm. She wanted to help, but her hands were tied. She couldn't afford to have a boyfriend who could get jealous at any time. However, it was also because of the episode between Kitty Lee and Zhou Mo. The atmosphere among the crowd became much more relaxed. Yi Qing Luo immediately jogged over to Dmo Xian's side and activated her pacifying mode. Ah Xian, are you bored? Do you want to come over and say goodbye to us? She looped her arms around Dmo Xian's neck and threw herself into the man's arms. Dmo Xian frowned slightly towards the world group. Dmo Xian only felt that it was her Lil Luo's men. Something happened to those people. Lil Luo would be sad. He would help protect it. But towards those people, Dmo Xian had no feelings at all. Everyone apparently knew that for people like Dmo Xian, who existed at the top of the pyramid, like a legend, he would lower himself to protect them, and even remember their names. That was entirely on account of Yi Qing Luo's face. When they heard Yi Qing Luo asking Dmo Xian to bid farewell to them, Everyone's heart started to lift. They were both afraid and filled with anticipation. Chapter 34:57. Yiqing Luo naturally didn't miss the brothers, anticipating yet afraid of being hurt, expression. Dmo Xian was pulled up by Yiqing Luo. The young lady pounced into his arms again. She tiptoed and hooked her arms around his neck. After that, she continued, "You're my man, what's yours is mine, my brother, is also your brother." The young lady's crisp and elegant voice floated into Dmo Xian's ears. It was like a warm and gentle spring, flowing into his heart. It made a part of his heart soften. A trace of warmth and sweetness filled his heart. He had to admit. Yiqing Luo's overbearing words pleased him. He liked his Lil Luo very much, declaring her sovereignty in front of everyone, declaring his identity. Like stamping his seal in front of everyone. Under the stamp, he was the only one who belonged to her. Dmo Xian's brows slowly revealed a warm current. Under Yiqing Luo's tugging, he stood in front of his brothers. Facing those pairs of adoration, respect and trust, as well as excited and expectant gazes. They were all young and tender faces. Dmo Xian raised his head. The curve of his jawline was elegant and the curve of his lips was slightly raised. That peerless face was very eye-catching. He looked at the crowd and his thin lips moved slightly. 3 months later, I hope to see all of you, not one less. Just a few simple sentences. It made everyone's heart surged with surging hot blood. This was like an idol whom you had adored for many years, standing in front of you personally, encouraging you. That feeling was indescribable with words. They couldn't wait to use their best efforts. And they didn't want to disappoint the idol whom they had always adored, revered, and believed in. Just when everyone was filled with hot blood, expressing that they would work hard. Dmo Xian used his indifferent tone, I believe in Lil Luo's foresight. Everyone. Why did it feel like they were being showered with dog food for no reason? Was it an illusion? Ha ha ha, suddenly, a loud laugh came from outside the courtyard. I haven't seen you for a long time, but the relationship between Luo and Dizun is still as good as ever. Following that, a large number of footsteps could be heard. Guo Wu's group came over together. Walking at the front was old man Guo Yu, who was dressed in the dean's uniform. Dressed in the headmaster's uniform, his hair, which was usually messy, was now neatly combed at the back of his head. From the looks of it, it did seem to be the case. Following closely behind him were the ghost doctor and holy pirate. Guo Wu, on the other hand, was walking at the very back of the group. His expression was cold and solemn as he quietly walked. Yiqing Luo took a look behind her. He did not see the Ghost King. He did not know how Holy Pirate and the others were going to deal with the Ghost King. Little Luo, I missed you so much. Come, let me hug you first. After walking into the courtyard and seeing Yiqing Luo, old man Guo Yu, who appeared to be meticulous on the surface, immediately broke through his disguise and returned to his original nature. He took large strides towards Yiqing Luo as he opened up his arms, wanting to pull her out from Dmo Xian's embrace. They had yet to make a move. A pair of ice-cold eyes stared at him. Old man Guo Yu's body stiffened. Chapter 34:58. Dmo Xian's gaze was still icy cold as he tightened his grip on Yiqing Luo. Under Dmo Xian's murderous glare, Guo Yu decisively gave up on the idea of hugging Yiqing Luo. Instead he looked at Yiqing Luo directly. Las Luo, following such an overbearing man, don't you feel tired? Yiqing Luo could obviously feel that after Guo Yu finished his sentence. His arms around her slender waist tightened even more. Apparently, this question made Dmo Xian very concerned. This old man. The moment he appeared, he was eager to stir up trouble. What the brothers said was right. Guo Yu was an old urchin. Yiqing Luo's lips twitched as she put on a serious look and firmly hugged Dmo Xian tightly. I don't think so. Ah, Xian is overbearing because he especially especially cares about me." Saying that, she tiptoed and hooked his neck. On his face, she planted a light kiss. "I'm also overbearing, and don't allow him to have too much contact with the opposite sex." Although it was just a light kiss. But it was a dog-abusing explosive hit. Everyone. They all wanted to die. "Stop fooling around, let's get down to business." Ghost Doctor patted Guo Yu's head from behind and immediately raised his eyes, looking at Yiqing Luo. "You're going to the upper realm?" Yiqing Luo had no intention to hide it. She looked at the main hall in front of the courtyard. "Let's go in and talk." The few of them didn't reject. The group of them returned to the main hall in a grandiose manner. This palace was specially arranged by East Billow's monarch for the World Mercenary Group. They were young and casual. They didn't arrange any palace maids to serve them. Plus there were so many experts present. East Billow's monarch didn't have the guts to arrange people to spy on them secretly. In the entire palace, there was only the World Mercenary Group, Guo Yu and the rest. "We know that you will go to the upper realm sooner or later," Ghost Doctor said calmly after he took his seat. Yiqing Luo lowered her eyes. "This battle in Nirvana realm, after all, is because of me. If it wasn't for the help from the various teachers, Nirvana realm might not be able to win this battle. Even if we don't do anything, you and Dizun will definitely win if you join hands." Guo Wu's vision swept past Yiqing Luo and Dmo Xian. "You don't need to thank us for taking action, this is our duty." "I know." Yiqing Luo smiled, "But I still have to thank you for protecting Nirvana realm." The Ghost Doctor and God Pirate looked at each other. "You already know our identities?" "I don't know." Yiqing Luo shook her head honestly, "But I roughly know the reason why you are in the Nirvana realm." She smiled and glanced at the few people in front of her. "You've known each other for a long time, before you came to the Nirvana realm." "Before the Nirvana realm? What does that mean?" "Don't tell me." "Dean Guo Yu and Lord Ghost Doctor, they are actually not people from the Nirvana realm?" When the World Mercenary Group's people heard Yiqing Luo's words, they were all shocked. Pairs of eyes were fixed on old man Guo Yu and the rest. The few of them smiled calmly. "Yes." Yiqing Luo slowly stood up and walked towards them. She walked in front of old man Guo Yu and asked, "Should I call you Dean Guo Yu or Dean Guo Yu?" She took another step forward. "Master Ghost Doctor." She took another step forward. "Old man Ghost Thief." Her gaze looked towards the person sitting opposite her. "Master Guo Wu." Chapter 3459. When these names came out from Yiqing Luo's mouth, everyone was stunned. They didn't understand what Yiqing Luo meant in her words. Guo Yu? Guo Yu? God Thief? Ghost Thief? Were these their real names? Wait a minute, everyone thought of something as they muttered the remaining two names, Guo Wu, Ghost Doctor. And another. Ghost King? Why were these few people's names so similar? I knew it, I can't hide it from you. Ghost Doctor ignored the astonished gazes around him as he replied calmly. Guo Yu. Should be called Guo Yu now. He suddenly raised his hand and patted on Ghost Doctor's shoulder. Of course, don't you know who has taken a fancy to her? I like her cleverness. Ghost Thief changed from his usual rich man's dressing and attitude. Right now he was wearing a normal person's robe, which gave off a sense of an otherworldly expert. He stroked his neatly trimmed white beard as he smiled and nodded. Ever since we joined hands to go against the secluded palace, we have no intention to hide this matter. Even if we wanted to hide it, we can't. Yiqing Luo followed up as she placed one hand on Guo Yu's shoulder. She put all her weight on Guo Yu's body. Guo Yu wanted to stretch out his hand to support Yiqing Luo. However, a pair of ice-cold eyes locked onto her from the seat of honor. He didn't dare to touch Yiqing Luo at all. Just like that, he allowed Yiqing Luo to lean on him. Yiqing Luo gave an evil smile. You bunch of incredible people are all lurking around me. Tell me, what's your motive? The few of them looked at each other in dismay. Guo Yu sat up straight as his shoulder, which was being pressed by Yi Qing Luo, didn't dare to droop down. He raised his right arm as he spoke righteously. I'm absolutely not lurking around you. Guo Wu replied calmly, me too. Ghost Doctor, Guo Yu replied, me too. Yi Qing Luo snorted coldly from her nose. But she gave out a low laugh. Then, what's your motive? The few of them who were speaking righteously instantly became quiet. Yi Qing Luo suddenly retracted her hand as she stood up straight and rubbed her chin. If you don't want to say, why not let me? The few of them still didn't open their mouths. A look of listening attentively, waiting for Yi Qing Luo's speculation. Everyone in the world group was already shocked by this shocking news and were unable to regain their senses for a long time. Hearing that Yi Qing Luo was going to continue to expose him, they instantly focused their attention, and their serious looks were even more serious than when they were training their mental cultivation methods in the devil class. Let me guess your identity first. Yi Qing Luo tilted her head and raised her eyebrows. Your strength has surpassed the balance of the Nirvana realm. However, you are still able to continue staying in the Nirvana realm as people who have the potential to become famous. Moreover, you do not seem to be afraid of the balance historian at all. She paused for a moment as her eyes swept over the few of them. Then, she asked word by word, your real identity should be the peace scribes who maintain the balance between the Nirvana realm and the upper realm. Historian of peace. As the name suggested, they were emissaries who maintained the peace of the plane. Just like Guo Wu and the others. On the surface, he appeared in front of everyone as a master, a teacher, a ghost doctor, and so on. But in fact, they came down from the upper realm in order to maintain the balance and development of the lower realm. They were equivalent to Heavenway's balance historian. But the peace historian was directly in the Nirvana realm, protecting the peace of the Nirvana realm. Chapter 3460. Las Luo. Guo Yu's eyes widened as he spoke with a shocked expression. Oh my, you even know about this? Yi Qing Luo crossed her arms as she raised her chin. The few of you, your status in the upper realm shouldn't be low. Why are you willing to become peace historians and guard Nirvana realm? Yi Qing Luo raised her hand and pressed on her chest. A red profound glow blossomed from her heart. Her vision swept past those few people. You're willing to lower your status and guard Nirvana realm. Is it because of this Nirvana realm, the destined calamity, or because of me? The radiance which belonged to the divine phoenix profound heart jade, blossomed with alluring splendor. Just as Yi Qing Luo's words left her mouth, the expressions on the faces of the few of them changed slightly. Guo Yu coughed lightly. Las Luo, don't misunderstand, we don't have any ill intentions towards you. I know. Yi Qing Luo nodded. You all treat me sincerely, but I still want to know your real motive. She had already said it to this extent. The few of them could only sigh. What you said is right, we are indeed peace historians from the upper realm. Guo Yu said, but each of our motives are different. You should be staring at Zhu Wu Xian, observing his every move. Yi Qing Luo's brows rose. May I know Zhu Wu Xian's identity? Guo Yu's words were all choked back by Yi Qing Luo. I say, lass, how much do you know? We thought that we had concealed it very well. It's such a blow to my pride. He flicked his sleeves. I won't say, anyway you've already guessed it, it's too hurtful to my pride. Saying that, he turned his face to one side. His tone was filled with grumbling. Yi Qing Luo didn't press him. She was smart, so naturally she knew that Guo Yu's action. In actual fact, it was to avoid her questioning about Zhu Wu Xian's identity. Guo Yu didn't want to say. Yi Qing Luo naturally wouldn't pursue further. But Yi Qing Luo indicated that this Nirvana realm was known as the abandoned plane by the upper realm. Why did so many people from the upper realm come? Zhu Wuxin's identity was definitely not simple. As for me, the reason why I came to the Nirvana realm is to maintain the balance of the Nirvana realm. This is to prevent the Nirvana realm from falling into destruction after the prophecy arrives. Guo Wu replied in an indifferent tone. Clearly, Guo Wu's prophecy regarding the Heavenly Master was correct. They were also suspicious of him. Guo Yu, since the few of them came here to be some peace historian, I naturally have to come as well. Yi Qing Luo. It was indeed teacher Guo Yu's style. The ghost doctor, I was forcefully dragged down by the bandits. Yi Qing Luo looked at Ghost Thief. She recalled how the two of them clearly knew each other, yet pretended not to know each other. Yet, when they interacted with each other, there was some sort of ambiguous feeling. Yi Qing Luo. She seemed to have suddenly discovered something incredible. After everything was made clear, everyone in Devil class were all stunned by what they heard. He couldn't believe it. It turned out that the few people who had always been by their side, teaching them, accompanying them, and taking care of them, they were all experts from the upper realm. All of them had extraordinary identities. Yi Qing Luo raised her hand, as she placed it horizontally in front of everyone, making everyone's gazes converged onto her. Chapter 3461. Everyone was dumbstruck. Concealing one's identity, having ulterior motives, intentionally lying in ambush, definitely cannot be worshipped. Yi Qing Luo snorted. Everyone was still in a daze. The few of them had a change of expression. Guo Yu pounced forward as he cried out, "Lass Luo, don't be like this. How did we lie to you? You can't deprive the students of worshipping us." He was howling as he pounced forward. But just as he was about to pounce onto Yi Qing Luo, Guo Yu was once again forced back by an icy cold glare. Ghost Thief had a bitter look. "I've finally let this bunch of brats worship me and you're just stopping me like this. Can't you have some virtue of respecting your elders?" The two of them howled, making everyone unable to restrain their laughter. "You. The both of you, your identities have already been pointed out, still making a fuss. Can't you learn from Master Ghost Doctor and Master Ghost Marshal, to be more mature and steady?" Yi Qing Luo rolled her eyes at the two clowns. Guo Yu and Ghost Thief exchanged glances and immediately looked towards Yi Qing Luo in unison as they shook their heads. "No. What's the use of being mature and steady? We still can't let this bunch of brats worship us." "Io, they're still acting tsundere." After this commotion, the atmosphere became much more relaxed. The members of the world group were rather quick-witted. "Seniors have taken good care of us. Since you're our masters for a day, you'll be our masters for life. No matter what your identities are, you're the best masters in our hearts." These words weren't only for Guo Yu. There was also Ghost Doctor, Ghost Thief, Ghost Marshal and the others. No matter if it was on account of Yi Qing Luo. It was because of their hard work, allowing the seniors to see it. All the hard work and guidance the seniors had given them, they remembered it all in their hearts. Worship and reverence, these were all inevitable. And all came from the bottom of their hearts. Hearing the world group's children being so obedient, the few of them then revealed a smile on their faces. After fooling around for a while, Yi Qing Luo changed the topic back to the main topic. "Nirvana Realm's battle has ended. Are you guys going to continue staying in Nirvana Realm or return to the upper realm?" The Ghost Thief was silent for a while. "I will probably stay in the Nirvana Realm. The calamity predicted by the Heavenly Master has passed, and the Nirvana Realm is not stable now. I need to stay here just in case." Guo Wu looked at Guo Bandit. "Will the Ghost King agree?" The bandit was taken aback. His carefree expression loosened, but he didn't say anything. "Ghost Lord and Ghost Thief. What is the relationship between you two?" Yi Qing Luo had been curious about this question for a long time. When the Ghost King saw her using the teleportation secret technique, it was a look of hatred and nostalgia. Until now, Yi Qing Luo still remembered it clearly. Later on, when the Ghost King and the Ghost Bandits met, the atmosphere between the two of them. It could be seen that the Ghost King hated the Ghost Bandits, but he also had an indescribable feeling for them. As for the Ghost Bandits, they seemed to have let down the Ghost King. Thinking of this, why did Yi Qing Luo suddenly feel that this seemed to be a plot of Various kinds of misunderstandings and misunderstandings of an overbearing CEO. The two of them, who loved and hated each other and had all kinds of misunderstandings, were reunited. Following that, a love and hate drama unfolded once again. Yi Qing Luo. She suddenly had a hair-raising feeling. What should she do? Her gaze looked towards Ghost Doctor with an incomparable heartache. The Ghost Doctor was startled by the sudden heartache in his eyes. He frowned. What nonsense are you thinking about again? Chapter 3462. Ghost Doctor's gaze was suspicious as he felt that Yi Qing Luo's gaze was a little strange. His brows knitted even tighter as he replied calmly, Ghost King and Ghost Thief are biological brothers. Because of some reason, Ghost King left Ghost Thief's family. Biological brothers? Wasn't it a drama of love and hate between overbearing CEO? How did it turn into brotherly love and family hatred? I will let Ghost King accompany me in Nirvana realm. Ghost Thief's mood was obviously gloomy when he mentioned Ghost King. He paused as he looked at Yi Qing Luo. You don't have to worry that Ghost King will listen to the orders of Secluded Palace and do something against you. I will keep an eye on him. Ghost Thief's gaze didn't have the usual mischievous look. It was filled with seriousness. Indistinctly, there was a hint of pleading in it. Yi Qing Luo saw this pleading clearly. She was stunned as she realized Ghost Thief's meaning as her pink lips curled into a smile. I believe in you and also believe in the relationship between your team. Ghost Thief was worried about Dmo Xian. Because the Ghost King had hurt her time and time again. If Dmo Xian pursued the matter, Ghost King's life would be in danger. Towards Ghost King, Yi Qing Luo didn't have much hatred. Especially after knowing the relationship between Ghost King and Ghost Thief. Yi Qing Luo could also understand the reason why Ghost King and Secluded Palace cooperated. On the surface, it looked like it was to take revenge on her brother, to take revenge on the family that abandoned her. But in actual fact, it was to attract Ghost Thief's attention. And on the battlefield, Ghost Thief helped Ghost King to block Dmo Xian's intimidation. Ghost King's heart should have been shaken. Because they cared about each other. That was why there was so much love and killing. She believed that Ghost Thief and Ghost King could repair their brotherly relationship. What about you guys? Yi Qing Luo looked at Ghost Marshal and the rest. Ghost Doctor went silent for a moment. I want to wait for Nirvana Realm to stabilize before leaving. Guo Yu opened his mouth, but then he thought of something and grabbed his head. Why was I so stupid back then? Why did I insist on becoming the dean? Before Mei finds the next director of Heavenly Academy, I can't follow Las Luo to roam the upper realm. Yi Qing Luo. Roam the upper realm? She was obviously going to the upper realm to do official business. How was it? The corner of her mouth twitched. Then, in an obviously deceiving tone, he smiled and said, this means that you, Teacher Guo Yu, are very powerful. The Heavenly Academy still needs to rely on you. Just obediently be your dean, and my group of brothers will be handed over to you. Guo Yu's eyes lit up and he patted his chest. No problem, leave it to me. I'm such a powerful person, that's nothing. Everyone, Guo Wu and the rest, just like that, he fell into Yi Qing Luo's trap. Dean Guo Yu, you are still too naive. Master Guo Wu, how about you? After appeasing Guo Yu, Yi Qing Luo shifted her line of sight onto Guo Wu. She could roughly guess Guo Wu's choice. As expected, Guo Wu said, I will go with you to the upper realm. It wasn't that Guo Wu wanted to follow them. Instead, it was Zhou Mo Kitty Li, who had contracted the bloodline of the Beastmen, was bound to follow her to the upper realm. In order to chase after his wife, Zhou Mo would also come along. Since Zhou Mo was here, Guo Wu would naturally be here as well. Moreover, the Nirvana realm had Guo Yu and the others. They might not seem reliable, but they were actually very reliable. There was no need to worry. Chapter 3463. In the 4 sacred beast pearls, there were remnants of the God Emperor's profound energy before he passed away. once the passageway to the upper realm was opened. The remaining profound energy in the 4 sacred beast pearls could possibly spread throughout the entire Nirvana realm, or even the upper realm. Although she followed Jun Qingwu's suggestion, using the 4 sacred beasts' heart's blood, to contract the sacred beast pearls as her lifeline, to seal the divine phoenix's remaining energy. But she had to make a foolproof plan. What if the contract failed? That extremely ambitious person behind the scenes of the Nether Palace would absolutely not let it go so easily. That person definitely knew that she was gathering the 4 sacred beast pearls to open the passageway to the upper realm. It was highly possible that he had a huge interest in the remaining God Emperor's profound energy in the 4 sacred beast pearls. If there were these few Gui family seniors guarding by the side, at least, the degree of safety would increase by a lot. So urgent? Gui, you couldn't sit still any longer. I came all the way from the West Continent just to see you and you're leaving just like that? Yiqing Luo pursed her lips. For the safety of Nirvana realm and the safety of our brothers, it's better for me to head to the upper realm earlier. Pausing, she raised her head and her lips curled into a smile. It's not like we won't meet again. 3 months' time, Nirvana realm will more or less settle down. Guiyu scratched his head, his meticulous hair was messed up again. He still wanted to say something. Ghost Doctor stretched out his hand and stopped him. Following that, Ghost Doctor looked at Yiqing Luo. You're right, it's not like we won't meet again. Guiyu was a little sullen as he gave a heavy harumph and leaned back on his seat. Yiqing Luo smiled. The group of them discussed about the sacred beast pearls and heading to the upper realm for a while more. Until they were about to leave. Guiyu suddenly thought of something. That's right, Las Luo, Xiaoyu asked me to pass you a letter, I almost forgot about it. As he said that, he was feeling around in his arms. Upon mentioning Yi Fengyu's name, Yiqing Luo's eyelashes trembled. In front of her, that young and handsome face seemed to appear. It had been so long. She hadn't seen Xiaoyu for a long time. In this battle, Yi Fengyu actually wanted to follow the members of the World Mercenary Group and rush to the East Wave continent together. It wasn't just to see Yiqing Luo. He also wanted to contribute to the Nirvana realm. It was only because the Western continent had yet to stabilize after the previous battle. Yi Fengyu had just taken over the position of the Three Springs sect leader. After all, he was still young. If he could find the time to rush to the East Billow continent to participate in the war, he would have to be prepared. The Western continent would be in chaos. Even Yi Fengru's current performance was indeed conscientious, wholeheartedly assisting Yi Fengru. However, Yi Fengru had a criminal record. Even if you don't use the person you suspect, don't suspect the person you use. Yi Fengyu also didn't want to hand over the Three Springs sect that his sister had worked so hard to obtain for him to Yi Fengru. Therefore, after much consideration, Yi Fengyu decided to stay on the Western continent. He took the letter from Guiyu. The letter was a little dry and dirty. Yiqing Luo caressed the letter, her brows overflowed with a slight gentleness. Yi Fengyu wasn't her biological younger brother. But in her heart, Yi Fengyu was her family. Quick, open it and see what that young lad said to you. The world group's faces were filled with smiles. They often hung out with Yi Fengyu. Dmo Xian placed his chin on her shoulder, his voice was low and hoarse. That warm breath seemed to be deliberately seducing her as it drifted over her earlobe. Yiqing Luo's petite body trembled as her cheeks flushed red. There are so many ladies who want to marry you. Since you want to get married so badly, just find any one of them to get married. In her tone, there was a coquettishness that she had never shown before. The hand around her waist tightened. The man saw her body stiffen up. The two of them looked at each other. He bowed his head, his shimmering peach blossom eyes were like the vast stars, deep and enchanting. Just one look and one would sink into it, unable to extricate themselves. A warm kiss fell on Yiqing Luo's lips. The action was very slow. Extremely gentle. Between the lips and teeth, his even more enchanting and deep voice floated over. Chapter 3465. Like a vow, Yiqing Luo's heart seemed to be wrapped with a layer of honey. Sweet happiness was spreading in his heart. Her hands circled around Dmo Xian's neck and deepened the kiss. The azure dragon pearl was quickly sent to Yiqing Luo's hands. The 4 sacred beasts' pearls were all gathered in Yiqing Luo's hands. Looking at the 4 pieces of different colored sacred beasts' pearls, Yiqing Luo decided to go into the azure dew bracelet first and summon the 4 sacred beasts' consciousness into the bracelet to discuss. The 4 sacred beasts' pearls had a close relationship with the 4 of them after all. No matter what decision she made, she should ask for their opinion. After greeting Dmo Xian, she entered the azure dew bracelet. The 4 sacred beasts' consciousness also entered the azure dew bracelet. 2 people and 4 beasts stared at each other. Yiqing Luo beckoned to Qi. Qi obediently burrowed into Yiqing Luo's arms. She stroked Qi's soft fur, curled her lips and looked at the sacred beasts. Do you know that I want to open the passage to the upper realm? Qi rubbed against her palm. I know, whatever master wants to do, go ahead and do it. Qi and the brothers will definitely support master. Yiqing Luo pursed her lips. In order to continue sealing the profound energy of the Emperor of God, to open the passage, there is only one way. She took a deep breath. Her gaze was a little gloomy. I need your heart blood. The sacred beasts looked at each other and immediately looked at Yiqing Luo, without giving any response. Yiqing Luo continued, Shao Qingwu said before, only by contracting the sacred beast's pearls as one's own lifeline, can the Emperor of God's power be sealed in the sacred beast's pearls. I've heard about the sacred beast's pearls. Azure Dragon's calm voice, in the quiet and spacious azure dew bracelet, was very deep. Its green dragon eyes looked deeply at Yiqing Luo. Generally speaking, ordinary people will choose to directly use the 4 sacred beasts' pearls to open the entrance, to absorb the power sealed in the sacred beasts' pearls, to enhance their own strength. Why, instead, do you want to take the risk and seal this power? Indeed. Opening the entrance, the remaining power of the Emperor of God, although would spread throughout the upper realm. But it didn't mean that the people of the upper realm could immediately lock the position here. Success comes with risks. If he was lucky, he would be able to obtain the remaining power of the Divine Emperor. He was definitely an existence that could stir up a storm. Normal people wouldn't choose to do something as risky as contracting the lifeline pearl. Yiqing Luo's lips curled slightly. Because, I cannot take the risk. Her expression was very calm, and her charming eyes were also very calm. I'm too conspicuous, and I have too many things on me. I can't guarantee that I'll be able to protect these important things after I absorb the remaining energy. The 4 sacred beast pearls are the heirlooms that the 4 great sects have guarded for generations. Since I made them violate their ancestral teachings and borrow the sacred beast pearls, I have to take responsibility for it. I can't let the sacred beast pearl become something that others can fight over. Yiqing Luo's tone was very indifferent, without much emotion. The azure dragon waved his whiskers and did not ask any more questions. Chapter 3466. Yiqing Luo took a deep breath, making her tone even more tranquil. I don't want to make a decision for you. If you're not willing, we'll choose another way. Her tone was calm. But from Yiqing Luo's eyes, there was a slight tremble. It showed her complicated feelings at this moment. You don't need to have any other pressure. Just because I'm your master, you don't have to give in to me. To me, you're not only my contracted battle pet, but also my brothers, partners. The fluctuation in Yiqing Luo's eyes gradually receded. She pursed her lips and looked at them firmly. So, you can express your opinion according to your own thoughts. Qi has no opinion. Qi raised its head. Its bright eyes were filled with trust towards Yiqing Luo. Yiqing Luo's lips curled as she caressed its little head. If the sacred beast bead is plundered by someone and turns into ashes, you will all lose your life source and turn into sacred beast stone statues. Forever unable to awaken, this consequence is very serious. You must think carefully, don't answer me so quickly. Qi has thought clearly. Chi shook its little head and continued to speak seriously. Before it could finish its words, Old Man Song, who had been floating in mid-air leisurely as if he was asleep, suddenly opened his mouth. Lass, what you said earlier, is there another way? Yiqing Luo raised her head. Yes. You intend to directly open the passage to the upper realm? And then use your own body to absorb all the remaining energy from the Emperor of God in the sacred beast bead? Old Man Song floated down and squeezed in front of Yiqing Luo. Yiqing Luo pondered for a moment and nodded. Yes. Are you sure that your body can withstand the sealed energy in the sacred beast bead? And are you sure that you can guarantee that you can escape unscathed when this energy spreads throughout the upper realm and attract a bunch of people to plunder it? Old Man Song's expression was solemn and his tone was anxious. You just said that you don't want to take the risk. You know very well the consequences of choosing this method to open the entrance. Yiqing Luo fell into silence. After a while, she pursed her lips and said firmly, maybe, I can. After absorbing the sealed energy, maybe I can protect everyone. As you said, it's just a possibility. Old Man Song interrupted Yiqing Luo's words. I won't let you take the risk. You yourself said that you won't take the risk. This method is out of the question. Yiqing Luo lowered her eyelids and sighed. Indeed, she did not want to take any risks. However, which of the two ways to open the passage wasn't risky? Only one was her risk. One was just the 4 sacred beasts risking their lives. However, if the 4 sacred beasts were unwilling to do so, she didn't want to force him. He would not blame the other party either. That's enough. We haven't even said anything, and you guys are already arguing. Qi Yan snorted and waved his wings impatiently. Do you still need to ask us about this kind of thing? The Azure Dragon shook its head. Since you treat us as your partners, we will naturally treat you as a partner that we can trust. That's right, if we don't trust you, how can we contract with you? Qi Yan flapped his wings and approached Yiqing Luo. Who are we? For holy beasts. Do we look like beasts without any sense of loyalty? Chapter 3467. The few sacred beasts' pet faces came close to her eyes, baring their fangs and brandishing their claws. But their mouths were saying extremely warm words. Yiqing Luo's brows were filled with a faint smile. She was fortunate to have this group of companions. Thank you. She stretched out her hand and hugged the 4 little companions. I will protect you and protect the sacred beast bead. After asking for the opinions of the few little companions, Yiqing Luo didn't waste any more time. After informing everyone, she decided to head towards the upper realm directly. Time was of the essence and everyone wanted to retain her. But they also knew that they couldn't do so. Yiqing Luo didn't create a sensation to the extent where everyone knew about it. She only explained to the World Group's brothers, Gue Wu and the others. Not only did she not want Nirvana Realm to fall into unnecessary panic, it was also to prevent the mastermind from stirring up trouble. The battle in the Nirvana Realm had already exhausted everyone's energy. It was not easy for the Nirvana Realm to welcome the first ray of sunlight of new life. If the news of her and Dmo Xian leaving Nirvana Realm was known to the people of Nirvana Realm, everyone would definitely be flustered. Dmo Xian was just preparing to set up the barrier. East Wave's monarch and Gu Ming came together. After seeing that the courtyard was covered with people's blood, East Wave's monarch revealed a smile. I guessed that Madam would leave East Wave's continent after getting the Azure Dragon Pearl. Indeed, I was right. When everyone saw East Wave's monarch, their expressions changed slightly as they looked at him warily. East Wave's monarch, why are you here? Yiqing Luo raised her hand, indicating for everyone not to be rash as she smiled at the both of them. Brother Gu and I are here to bid farewell. East Wave's monarch cupped his fists towards Yiqing Luo. Madam and Overlord are both dragons and phoenixes among men. East Wave's continent will definitely not be able to keep you. Yiqing Luo smiled. Everyone has their own ambitions. I only want to go sightseeing with Ah Xian, roam around and occasionally meet up with my brothers. This is the life I want. We all know and have never thought of retaining the both of you. East Wave's monarch was all smiles. Yiqing Luo pursed her lips as she took a look at East Wave's monarch. Following that, her gaze met with Dmo Xian. He had to admit that the East Wave's sovereign was a smart man. From his words, it sounded like he respected them very much. Indeed, he was very respectful towards them. But, the East Wave's sovereign had already guessed something. It wasn't that the East Wave continent couldn't keep them. It was because the Nirvana realm couldn't keep them. Yiqing Luo liked to deal with intelligent people. At the very least, they could understand each other. Sovereign of the East Wave. Yiqing Luo muttered to herself as she smiled, the agreement between us will always be effective. As for Jade Dome Sect, I'll have to trouble you to take good care of young Sect Master and nurture him to inherit the position of Sect Master. In other words, as long as the East Wave's sovereign maintained the balance of the continent and supported the Jade Dome Sect's young Sect Master to ascend to the position, the East Wave's sovereign would be able to maintain the balance of the continent. He didn't have any other ambitions or schemes. The safety of the East continent was her responsibility. This was their agreement. After receiving a definite answer, the smile on East Wave continent's face became even wider. If that's the case, then many thanks, Imperial Madam. Saying that, he didn't intend to disturb Yiqing Luo and the rest. He pulled Gu Ming and was about to leave. Gu Ming's face was also smiling. But looking at Yiqing Luo, he was obviously hesitant to speak. Yiqing Luo couldn't help but ask, "Does Sect Master Gu have anything to say to me?" Chapter 3468. Gu Ming licked his dry lips and clenched his fingers nervously. His vision kept darting towards Dmo Xian, who was by the side. After hesitating for a long while, he seemed to have figured something out. Closing his eyes, he straightened his neck and said, "To tell you the truth, ever since my son Gu Jingyu did those things to Madame D in the Imperial Palace, I have locked him up in the dungeon and strictly guarded him." But, Gu Ming's expression was a little ugly. "My son, Gu Jingyu, disappeared before the great battle." Gu Jingyu disappeared? Yiqing Luo frowned. "You're worried that because of his identity as Gu Feng Sect's young matriarch, he would be taken away by the dark forces?" Gu Ming shook his head. "Every appointed young lord of the four major sects will have a close relationship with the sect. I can sense that my son is still alive." He hesitated and stopped talking. She glanced at Dmo Xian from the corner of her eyes, who had a rather unfriendly expression. He subconsciously leaned towards Yiqing Luo's direction. If my son is looking for you, I hope you can tell my son that the Wind Valley sect still needs him." After saying this, Gu Ming immediately lowered his head. He didn't even dare to take another look at Yiqing Luo. More accurately, she did not dare to look at Dmo Xian's face. He was talking about other men with Lady D in front of Dizun. This was a taboo. But Gu Ming had no other choice. Gu Jingyu had disappeared, and there had been no news of him for many days. Even in this great battle that almost destroyed the Nirvana realm, Gu Jingyu did not appear. He was really worried about Gu Jingyu's situation. As for Gu Jingyu's feelings towards Yiqing Luo, he knew that. She could only hope that Gu Jingyu still remembered Qing Luo and would take the initiative to look for Yiqing Luo. This question, Yiqing Luo swallowed a mouthful of saliva and finally understood the reason why Gu Ming was so hesitant. Her peripheral vision shot a glance towards Dmo Xian's direction. His complexion was indeed quite unsightly. His eyes widened as if he wanted to teach her a lesson. Yiqing Luo rubbed her arms, indicating that she was shivering. How should she respond to this question? If he agreed, was Dmo Xian really going to hack Gu Ming? If he did not respond, looking at Gu Ming's pleading and perturbed eyes, her heart softened. Pondering for a moment, her expression was one of facing death with equanimity. "Sect leader Gu, don't worry. If I'm able to meet young sect leader Gu, I'll definitely bring your words to him." As soon as he finished speaking, Yiqing Luo felt an eerie chill invading her back. Cough. "If you have nothing else, please leave first," I still have to say goodbye to my brothers. Yi Qing Luo gave Gu Ming a look. Gu Ming was sweating profusely when he made this request. Hearing Yi Qing Luo's words, he dragged the East Wave monarch and left the courtyard. It was as if a ferocious beast was chasing after her. The man's face was cold and his gaze was like a sharp blade. He was shrouded in a low pressure, but he did not get angry and chase after Gu Ming. Instead, he stared straight at Yi Qing Luo. The atmosphere of the entire courtyard was shrouded in cold air. Everyone did their best to suppress their presence. He indicated that he wanted to silently watch Yi Qing Luo's pacifying skills. Yi Qing Luo's back was still chilly. There was a boyfriend who loved to be jealous, jealous at any moment, jealous at any time. She really couldn't stand it. She straightened her back and her charming eyes met with Dmo Xian's gaze. Facing the pressure that was pouring down on him, he withstood the cold gaze. Chapter 34-69. Ah Xian, Yi Qing Luo played the same old trick as she pounced into Dmo Xian's arms. The man was sitting on the stone chair with an expressionless face. Yi Qing Luo's pounce landed on his thigh. Her arms wrapped around his neck as she explained, I agreed to him, not because I want to meet young Sect Master Gu. It's because there's no extra relationship between me and young Sect Master Gu, that's why I dared to agree to him without any misgivings, isn't it? She sat up straight as she looked seriously at the emotionless Dmo Xian. If I'm secretive and don't dare to agree to Sect Master Gu's request, then I really have a guilty conscience. Dmo Xian's eyelashes moved but he still didn't say a single word. Yi Qing Luo might as well make a big move as she ignored the crowd's gazes and directly hugged Dmo Xian as she planted a kiss on his thin lips, causing the surrounding crowd to let out a huff sound of ridicule. Moreover, young Sect Master Gu has disappeared and he doesn't even return to his own sect, so he might not even come looking for me. If he saw him, helping Sect Master Gu to pass on a message is just on the way. Yi Qing Luo's slender fingers pinched Dmo Xian's face, still jealous. The surrounding members of the world group all covered their eyes as they made a ruckus by the side. Gue Yu covered his own eyes, you two young lads, can't you have some virtue of respecting your elders? Stimulating my heart like this, aren't you afraid that I won't be able to take it and die suddenly? My eyes are going to go blind. Ghost Thief also played along as he pounced forward to cover Ghost Doctor's eyes. Ghost Doctor frowned as he pushed Ghost Thief impatiently. In this bustling atmosphere, Dmo Xian finally moved. His eyelashes fluttered a few times. Then he raised his chin. His peach blossom eyes sparkled with a dazzling luster. His thin lips curled upwards. His lips were curved into a smile. But it was a little cold. He raised his hand and his slender fingers caught that little hand which was messing around by the side of his face. When he met Yi Qing Luo's gaze, a soul-stealing whirlpool was swept in the depths of his eyes, deep and serene. Not knowing why, under this gaze, Yi Qing Luo felt that the big palm which held her little hand seemed to be on fire, scorching her delicate body. An inexplicable heat radiated from his body. She felt herself heating up. Her long and thick eyelashes fluttered. What was reflected in her eyes was the man's peerlessly handsome face. Then, she looked at the reflection of that face in her eyes. Her thin lips curled into an extremely shallow but seductive smile. I'm not angry. A husky and magnetic male fertility voice rang in her ears. It was also mixed with the elegant sandalwood scent of the man. Yi Qing Luo's eyes were blurred as she stared fixedly at the peerless beauty in front of her. After those 4 words entered his ears clearly and he digested them, Yi Qing Luo's gaze suddenly cleared up. Then, her eyes widened. What did you say? She really couldn't hold herself back with this wave of handsome man tactics. His mind was a little muddled. Do I look like someone who gets jealous easily? Dmo Xian gave her a cold glance. Yi Qing Luo wanted to reply, you don't, because you are. She really wanted to interview Dmo Xian. What was it that gave him the courage to drink several vats of vinegar in a matter of minutes, to ask in such a shameless manner whether he looked like someone who got jealous easily? But under that peerless beauty of a handsome man. Chapter 3470. No, no, no. This wasn't considered as having no backbone. She was merely speaking the truth. I'm just too lazy to talk. Dmo Xian cast a lazy glance. You have the time to come over here to grope me and molest me. Have you learnt the method to open the upper realms passage? Yi Qing Luo. Do something to him? Molest him? Was he serious when he said this? Don't think she couldn't tell. He did it on purpose. She obviously acted coquettishly and acted cute, and even accompanied with kisses, which made his heart extremely satisfied. Still pretending on purpose? Heh, men. Yi Qing Luo gave a cold harumph towards Dmo Xian and immediately stood up. As she patted her wrinkled robes, she looked at the group of indecent people. Go go go, let's open the upper realm. Behind her, the man whose arms were empty, lowered his eyes slightly. He adjusted his posture, appearing even more lazy. He tilted his head and looked at Yi Qing Luo lazily as his lips curled. Are you going to abandon me after you've laid your hands on me? Yi Qing Luo's footsteps took a halt. Abandon was used in this way? This was the real Dmo Xian, right? Was this really Dmo Xian? So mischievous, wasn't he afraid of being beaten up by her? Yi Qing Luo took a deep breath as she ignored him and continued walking forward. Dmo Xian was mischievous for a while before restraining himself. Gu Ming mentioned Gu Jingyu in front of Yi Qing Luo, which indeed made him unhappy. But that young lady's gentle way of coaxing people. He rather liked it. In future, he could do it a few more times. If Yi Qing Luo knew what Dmo Xian was thinking, she would absolutely show a grin on the surface while cursing in her heart. A distance away from Dmo Xian, Yi Qing Luo then stopped in her tracks. She stepped on the ground. Let's do it here. This was in the middle of the courtyard's 2 flower beds and with the thick trees as a cover. If one were to look from outside the courtyard, they would absolutely not be able to see what was happening in this position. The world group's people immediately followed Yi Qing Luo's arrangement as they stood in a circle. Gue Wu and the rest stood right at the front. After their positions were arranged properly, Dmo Xian had already set up an indestructible barrier around the surroundings, isolating the courtyard from the outside world. The fusion of the 4 sacred beast pearls. This is the first time I've seen such a spectacular scene. Ghost Thief clicked his tongue as he stared at Yi Qing Luo's hands, not wanting to miss any detail. The sacred beast bead was the ancestral treasure of the 4 great sections. Normally, it was impossible to see it. Not to mention the fusion of 4 sacred beast beads. Not only were the world group's brothers excited. When Gue Yu and the others saw Yi Qing Luo taking out the 4 sacred beasts' beads one by one, they couldn't help but stared with their eyes wide open. Especially the demonic bandits. It looked like he couldn't control himself and wanted to snatch all 4 sacred beast pearls. Of course, considering the demonic bandit's nature. He wanted to snatch the sacred beast pearl not because of the power of the divine emperor sealed in it. It was because of the sacred beast pearl's bright radiance that made it look extremely luxurious. Furthermore, on each sacred beast pearl, there was a drop of extremely gorgeous crimson. That was the heart blood of a saint beast. Everyone stared at the sacred beast bead. His heart was filled with excitement. However, there was also some sadness and reluctance. Chapter 3471. Pa. He slapped Gue Yu's head. The bandit struggled to retaliate. Tui. What nonsense. The girl has a venerable sovereign with her. She doesn't need you. After being slapped, Gue Yu grabbed his head and glared at Ghost Thief. But he didn't continue to tangle with the Ghost Thief. Instead he turned his head and looked at Yi Qing Luo seriously. I'm serious. When you are in the upper realm, take good care of yourself. Don't be like in the Nirvana realm, stirring up trouble everywhere. As he said that, he wiped his eyes fiercely. When you go to the upper realm, there will be no one to clean up your mess. Yi Qing Luo, it was as if he was facing his daughter who was about to leave home. What was going on? Furthermore, it sounded as if she was always causing trouble in the Nirvana realm. Moreover, she made it sound as if he had wiped her butt before. Let me speak, let me speak. Ghost Thief gave Guo Yu a speechless look, as he stood in front of Guo Yu and looked at Yi Qing Luo. That person from secluded Darkness Palace is from the upper realm. When you reach the upper realm, you will be in that person's territory. You must be careful, don't fall into other people's trap. Finally, there was someone with a normal style. Guo Yu still wanted to say something. The ghost bandit immediately pinned him to the ground. Ghost Doctor raised his eyes and took a look at Yi Qing Luo. Remember, in Nirvana realm, your ability is considered to be very strong and you have quite a number of things on you, and also have the help of your war pet, but upper realm is after all the upper realm. No matter what aspect it is a higher realm than Nirvana realm's territory. When you reach the upper realm, you're just like our Nirvana realm's low profound cultivators, there's no difference. Yi Qing Luo pursed her pink lips and replied solemnly, I understand. Even in the Nirvana realm, Yi Qing Luo didn't dare to pat her chest and say that her ability was very strong. After all, there were too many existences in the Nirvana realm that surpassed the Nirvana realm. After exchanging blows with those people, Yi Qing Luo had never felt that her ability was very strong. After arriving at the upper realm, her strength was even more insufficient. After everything was ready, Yi Qing Luo placed the 4 sacred beasts' beads on the ground. She touched the azure dew bracelet. He could feel that Old Man Song's current mood wasn't very high. She did not deliberately ask or mention it. Old Man Song's real name was Green Ghost. His name was similar to that of the Ghost King and Ghost Marshal. There was definitely some kind of relationship between them. However, Old Man Song was now clearly able to transform into a physical body and appear to meet them. However, Old Man Song did not do so. Old Man Song definitely had his own plans. She transmitted her divine sense into the azure dew bracelet and said, Old Man Song, I'm starting to open the passageway to the upper realm now. Keep an eye on it. If there's anything wrong, inform me in advance. Very quickly, Old Song's response came from within the azure dew bracelet. No problem. Yi Qing Luo took a look at the crowd and exchanged glances with them for a moment. Immediately, it landed on Dmo Xian. She smiled at him and said, Xian, I'm going to start. With that, she flipped her hand. The devouring flame fan slid out of his hand. Her fingertips moved slightly. The profound light lifted the 4 sacred beast pearls from the ground. The bright red light enveloped the 4 sacred beast pearls. The young lady's own profound energy continuously flowed from her fingertips into the glowing flame fan and then into the sacred beast pearl. The rays emitted by the 4 sacred beast pearls became more and more dazzling. Suddenly, the profound light that separated from the glowing flame fan formed a square totem in midair. That totem was made up of 4 different colors that were connected together. Chapter 3472. While doing all these actions, Yi Qing Luo felt a surge of boundless energy being released from that square totem. The heaven and earth spiritual lands started to churn like a whirlpool. It was like a surging wave, crashing fiercely. If it wasn't for Dmo Xian's barrier supporting it, this energy fluctuation would definitely cause the entire courtyard to collapse. This was the sealed energy of the Divine Emperor in the 4 sacred beasts' pearl. It had not been released and it could already cause such a strong fluctuation. If she chose another method, not to contract the lifeline pearl, the sealed energy, along with the 4 sacred beasts' pearl's energy, was released and transmitted to the upper 3 realms. What kind of consequences would it cause? Yi Qing Luo didn't even dare to think about it. Now's the time, contract the sacred beast pearl. Old Man Sung shouted in her mind. Yi Qing Luo's fingers moved again, and the glower flame fan on her fingertips had already turned into a flying curved blade, sparkling with an alluring red glow as it flew straight towards the center of the square totem. Immediately following that, Yi Qing Luo conjured a hand gesture as she placed one hand into her mouth and bit down hard. A large drop of blood gushed out from her fingertips. Without any hesitation, she leaped up and flew towards the center of the square totem. Her bloody fingers pressed onto the center of the totem. Yi Qing Luo's brows suddenly knitted into a bundle. A scorching feeling pricked her fingers. Immediately after, she felt an extremely strong energy spreading from her fingertips into her body. Oh! Yi Qing Luo gave a muffled groan as her chest instantly felt like it was burning. Her profound jade heart couldn't be controlled as it started to stir. As though it was summoning something. Or as though it was sensing something. Lass, stabilize your state of mind and contract the sacred beast pearl first. In her mind, Old Man Sang's voice kept on reminding Yi Qing Luo to stay awake. That surging heat like a volcano eruption kept on surging in her chest. Yi Qing Luo took a deep breath as her fingers clenched tightly. Her eyes stared intently at the square totem which was just inches away from her. Indistinctly, she seemed to see a vast sea of stars in the center of that totem. The stars shone brightly and the vast sky was boundless. A beam of light gradually enlarged in the starlight. The entrance to the upper realm was about to open. Just as Yi Qing Luo was about to pass through that vast sea of stars, as though she was about to see the scene on the other side of the passageway. The heat wave in his chest instantly subsided. His wrist tightened. Yi Qing Luo's body was brought into the man's arms. The elegant sandalwood fragrance dispersed the discomfort in Yi Qing Luo's body. The man bent down slightly and his lips stopped by Yi Qing Luo's ear as he whispered, "We're leaving." Has it already ended? Yi Qing Luo looked sideways at the man behind her. Since you can see the passage to the upper realm in the middle of the totem, it means that you have successfully opened the entrance to the passage. Dmo Xian explained, the enchantment that I've set up is also in perfect condition. This means that you've already successfully contracted the sacred beast pearl as your own lifeline pearl. The sovereign's energy is still sealed within the sacred beast pearl. Yi Qing Luo raised her head and looked at the totem which was gradually shrouded in bright rays. Then, how do I retrieve my lifeline pearl? After we step onto the passageway, the sacred beast pearl will automatically return to your body. Dmo Xian pinched her nose. Say goodbye to them, the entrance door is about to close. Not knowing why, Yi Qing Luo felt that. You're tuning into the Romantic Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.